So, taking a look there is a squirrel who's pretty intent, and hopefully you can see him. This little dude's been hanging out along with a couple of his pals in the yard and hadn't seen squirrels in forever, and all of a sudden, last week or so, these little creatures have been really, literally hanging around, and he's pretty intent. I hope you can see just, oh wow, there we go, how intent he is. That he is just, he's giving me the big eye, and he's hanging on an electrical wire, which seems kind of, oh, you know, unfortunate. However, he's pretty intense. And so I went and started to look up squirrel symbolism, and yeah, you know, maybe I just take some pictures of him, and all of a sudden I'm here making a video and wondering, what might squirrel want to try to tell me about playfulness and stocking up in times of plenty? Make sure you have some for winter, etc. This little guy lives in Florida, so he probably doesn't have too much difficulty. So I imagine that message is going to be slightly different. His message to me, anyway, might be the same as what that book said, or what the website said, but I don't think so. As he's pretty intense. I mean, he's pretty interested now, and the sun is really blinding, so I'm not seeing exactly, and I also, you know, I've zoomed it as far as I can, and I don't have binoculars or anything, so I can only squint through my one eye, and kind of focus and wonder, what might you be telling me? And interpret and listen to the insides of me as, what's Squirrel's message to me? Is he just asking me to take a pause and go, hey, there you go, look at that. Keep an eye out, huh? He's in a high spot. He's watching, keeping a watch out. Have a higher perspective, perhaps. Right there along with Hawk, who's happy to remind me about perspective, vantage point, higher understanding, bigger picture. So he's going to warn all of his little buddies that if he sees something from that higher perspective, he's going to chatter and let everybody know. Meanwhile, he's just hanging upside down on his pole. Totally digging. I hope that I'm digging him. And his little tail, look at that. Look at you. Thank you. Look at you. I hope I'm getting it. Having some IT difficulty and eyeball difficulty. What else might you have to say to me there, little squirrel? Let's come a little closer. Let's see about this. Did that change anything? Change my perspective. Perhaps if I change my perspective and my angle, I can see and understand better. And then get off course and possibly, whoops, wobble over backwards and fall down. So that's not the safest ground for me to stand on to try to learn from magical squirrel. And I'm basically not able to really see, so I'm pointing it up in the direction of this pole. And here we go, I'm going to change my perspective some more and get out of the direct sun, you know, see what I can do to facilitate communication with this little whittling creature. And vulture, thank you. Scavenger, pick the bones clean and use every part, which is, I'm all about it, man. Don't let anything go to waste. And what else do you have to say there, squirrel? Anything that I need to hear? There's a time for me to shut the video off and let you do your thing, and I'll commune with you without everybody else watching. He's fascinating. He's absolutely fascinating, and such a shame that he's up there and with all the wires and everything. It would be really groovy if he came down a little bit closer. However, that's asking Mother Nature to go beyond the grace of, hey, squirrel is sitting right there. You want to take that and run with it and say, cool, thank you very much. And now this clouds have kind of passed over, and I'm not as blind as I was. And the squirrel's still chilling. Not really moving. Nothing else is really going on. I have a renegade lizard in the house that won't leave. My little shapeshifter the other day, he's back, and was getting a little frustrated with all the animal kingdom and the reptiles and everything that have been, insects that have come into the inside of my house, breaching my perimeter. I'm trying really hard to be grateful of, divinity, and I don't want to live with it up in my bed. I had a moth flapping around all over my head last night. Like, oh, I'm tired with the lessons. Can we stop at the learning already? So this is fun to see this little dude. He's just hanging out. I love the trees back in the back. He and Marvin, they dig each other. And he's got a couple of friends. Not too many of them. There's only a couple. And I'm pretty sure that's the same little guy. And it's a limited crowd. There's only like maybe 2 or 3 maybe. And I think there's just the 2 perhaps and one visitor that came over for a play date or something. However, they're pretty solitary when they're visiting my yard. I don't know about their habitat or their habits as a woodland creature any of the other time. I just know when they visit my yard, it's usually just the one. And occasionally he comes with a mate, and 1 or 2 times I've seen 3 of them, and generally, nope, just him. And he bounces around in the front yard till the dogs are going nuts, and I finally get the message of, oh, hey, maybe you want to pay attention to one of God's little creatures that's saying, I got a message for you. So my neck is bent back, abnormally, anatomically incorrectly. That is starting to hurt, so I'm going to close this down and say thank you to divinity for bringing that to me. What a blessing, and to the sun that's shining so brightly for me to be able to see. And grateful, grateful, grateful to squirrel energy. Everything is teaching me, whether I'm consciously aware of it or not. Doesn't mean that little booger's not right on the spot with a few million lessons, I'm sure. And I just keep soaking up that energy and saying thank you for that energy, and may I return it right back to thee and say, bless you. And thank you so much for your gifts. And thank you to whomever it is that's driving really loudly. Home in NASCAR. It's not so fun to always fun to be from Daytona Beach. People take that stuff pretty seriously, and this little dude, he doesn't. He's all about playfulness and resourcefulness. And it's time for me to be a little more playful than at it today. And I think I'm going to heed the message of Squirrel and do what I need to do to take care of my business and play a little with him, perhaps, if I can keep my neck from falling apart and my head from rolling off my shoulders. So thank you. Oh, yeah, he says you're done now. You're excused. Thanks. Take care, y'all.